Welcome, everyone. I'm Carly Eben-Eaton, and I'm the Wisconsin Policy Manager for the Blue-Green Alliance. BGA is a coalition of labor unions and environmental organizations that collectively represent roughly 15 million members. BGA was formed around the idea that you shouldn't have to choose between good jobs and a clean environment. We can and must have both. Yesterday, the US Senate very narrowly passed its budget bill that repeals and restricts energy and advanced manufacturing tax credits. And as we speak, the House of Representatives is voting on whether to start debate on the bill. I'm joined today by the Wisconsin Building Trades Council and several of our labor partners from across the state to lay out what's at stake for Wisconsin if this bill becomes law. In its current form, this legislation will kill economic growth and jobs, raise energy prices, and cede clean energy technology manufacturing to other countries. Before I introduce our great lineup of speakers, I want to talk a little bit more about the jobs and investments at risk here in Wisconsin. According to BGA's analysis, the clean energy tax credits are supporting over $8.6 billion in private investments across the state of Wisconsin. And the market certainty the tax credits have created means that billions of dollars more of clean energy and manufacturing investment, along with thousands more jobs, are likely on the way. But just the uncertainty surrounding Congress's budget negotiations has already led to over $15 billion of canceled projects across the country since January. And that means thousands of jobs that are not going to materialize. BGA just released a new research brief outlining that nationally 2 million jobs will be lost if the budget bill passes. These numbers include nearly 300,000 manufacturing jobs nationwide that have already been announced. In Wisconsin, we stand to lose thousands of jobs as well, along with billions of dollars in private investment. Economists at UMass Perry estimate that fully 2/3 of the direct job creation from the clean energy and manufacturing tax credits falls in two sectors, construction and manufacturing. And many of the jobs in those sectors don't require college degrees. They require skills training like registered apprenticeships. So the bottom line here is that killing these investments is a betrayal of blue-collar working Americans in order to pad the pockets of billionaires. With that, I'd like to introduce our wonderful speakers. Actually, no, there's one more thing I want to say. Sorry. It's also worth noting that here in Wisconsin, we don't have prevailing wage, and we also don't have the ability for our local governments to set higher labor standards than what we have at the state level. So the standards that are attached to these clean energy tax credits have been really critical to leveling the playing field and making sure that clean energy jobs are good jobs. That is something that all of our speakers today have firsthand experience with, and you're going to learn a lot more about that. And so with that, I'm excited to introduce our panel of speakers. First up, we're going to hear from Andy Buck, who is the Director of Governmental Affairs with the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, IUPAT, District Council 7, as well as the President of the Northeast Wisconsin Building Trades Council. Andy?
All right, thank you very much for that introduction, Carly. As she said, I'm Andy Buck, the Director of Governmental Affairs for the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7, which covers Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Really want to talk about projects across Northeast Wisconsin, like the Bart and Sherry Starr Elementary School in Green Bay, are more than just construction sites. They're opportunities. IUPAT members are proud to be installing energy-efficient dynamic glass in that school, and it's projects like these that put our skilled union members to work. But more importantly, they're where our apprentices get their start. Today, you'll hear a lot of numbers about job losses, project costs, and budget impacts, but I want to talk about something just as important, the human side of apprenticeship, because apprenticeships change lives. When someone enters a registered apprenticeship program, they aren't just learning a trade. They're building a career, gaining self-respect, and finding a path to a better life. Because these programs open doors that many didn't even know existed. We should be celebrating apprentices and lifting up the responsible contractors who sponsor them, not putting their future in jeopardy. Last year, the IUPAT had a record number of apprentices. If that didn't happen by accident, it happened because of strong apprenticeship requirements like those used by Epic in Verona, where one of our painting shops alone sponsored 10 apprentice painters. This is what progress looks like. Giving people opportunity is a win for everyone, for workers, for the contractors, and for our communities. Direct pay for clean energy products and 179D for energy efficiency upgrades have been transformative measures for investments in clean energy technologies. Direct pay not only reduces investment costs, saving taxpayer dollars, but direct pay, also known as elective pay, is a mechanism that lets tax-exempt entities, including state and local governments, recoup a significant portion of the cost of clean energy projects as a reimbursement from the IRS up to 50% once projects are completed. Historically, it wasn't possible for state and local governments and other tax-exempt entities to take advantage of clean energy tax credits. Access to clean energy tax credits through direct pay has been huge for school districts, municipalities, and other tax-exempt entities, while the direct pay mechanism itself isn't touched by the reconciliation bill. It simply doesn't work without the underlying tax credits. The rapid repeal of the energy tax credit will mean that communities who are already planning projects based on the promise of direct pay will have to rethink their plans. 179D is a tax deduction that incentivizes energy efficiency upgrades like windows, insulation improvements, and LED lighting. The House bill already dealt a serious blow to clean energy tax credits and investments, but the Senate took it even further, doubling down on cuts that will cost jobs, stall progress, and raise energy costs. Thanks to clean energy tax credits and especially tools like direct pay and 179D, we've seen real momentum across Wisconsin. These incentives have brought in a new project, created high quality jobs, and opened up apprenticeship opportunities for our members. Direct pay has been a game changer. For the first time, public entities like school districts and municipalities can access the same clean energy incentives. But all that is now under threat. The House bill already tried to gut these investments, and the Senate made it worse, slashing funding, stalling projects, and putting good paying union jobs on the line. We can't afford to move backwards. These tax credits must be protected, and we need leaders who will stand with workers and keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Next up, we'll hear from Matt Vanderpye, who's a business representative for the Sheboygan area with the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers, SMART Local 18. Matt? Matt, you're still muted.
Perfect. Thank you, Carly. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matt Vanderpye. I am here on behalf of, as Carly said, SMART Local 18. We represent over 5,000 sheet metal workers across the state of Wisconsin. Local 18 members work on core infrastructure in every community in Wisconsin. But some of the most important work we do is related to energy efficiency. Whether it's HVAC systems, building envelopes, our members make sure Wisconsin's buildings run better, cleaner, and cost less for our state. Sheet metal workers improve energy efficiency in our schools, our hospitals, our office buildings, and our affordable housings. We're installing the heating and cooling systems Wisconsinites rely on year-round. We're making sure that our kids, our teachers, our grandparents are breathing healthier air. And thanks to all that work, which falls under energy efficiency, we're creating good middle-class wages and jobs for people in every part of the state. A good example of that is the Maplewood Middle School project in Menasha. That will be the state's second net zero school. This school is currently being built by local union workers, including SMART Local 18 members. It will include solar panels, geothermal, and energy storage. The district expects to receive around $3 million via the direct pay option and reimbursement. They anticipate that the savings for them will be $190,000 per year in utility costs. And this is money that they can reinvest into the students, the teachers, and the school district, saving local property tax owners money. Menasha is a great example of what's possible, but other school districts and local governments across Wisconsin may not have that same opportunity. The jobs, the work that we do to make sure our buildings are running efficiently, the indoor air quality upgrades, the HVAC systems that we install to keep people warm in winter and cool in the summer. It's all at risk if this spending bill passes. This bill phases out tax credits that incentivize private investment in energy efficiency. Make no mistake, those tax credits create jobs for our members and working people across Wisconsin. And they have had strong bipartisan support over the years. In fact, President Trump led the legislation that made one of these energy efficiency tax credits permanent back in 2020. Phasing out these tax credits just doesn't make sense, and it will hurt Wisconsin. It will keep companies from investing in our state. That hurts our economy. Buildings won't get the upgrades they need to run as efficiently as possible. We won't be doing the work to improve the indoor air quality in schools, hospitals, and other buildings. Operation costs will go up, and our jobs will be taken away. This just doesn't hurt sheet metal workers. It hurts every single person in Wisconsin. So that is why we are here today, and that we urge Congress to stand with Wisconsin, stand with workers, and fix this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next up, we're going to hear from Josh Bierong, who is the business manager for the United Association of Journeymen and Apprentices of the Plumbing and Pipe Fitting Industry, UA, Local 118 in Racine.
Hi, I'm Josh Bierong. As you said, I represent plumbers and steam fitters for Southeast Wisconsin. And the clean energy tax credits have really been a game changer for UA contractors and members. These projects have saved the community a lot of money. A lot of times the cost of the more efficient equipment costs a lot more upfront. And so typically people, especially when it comes to organizations that are nonprofit, they have to rely on lesser expensive upfront costs. However, these things typically cost more money on the long term. So the tax credits that are available through the direct pay options have really made it more accessible for some of these projects. For example, the Martin Luther King Community Center in Racine. This project is 100% union. It's creating great job opportunities for local people. And because of the direct pay options, which have expedited access to the highly efficient solutions, this project will feature things like a parking canopy with solar panels, permeable pavement, and geothermal systems. These additions will save the taxpayers a lot of money over the long term, and it's been a lot easier for the municipality to get into getting them. And again, they're great opportunities for our members to work on these projects and put more people to work. So conversely, repealing these clean energy tax credits and revoking access for tax-exempt entities would really determine, it would just be, it would lead to job losses and increased costs and harm our local economy. This bill should not pass. It's bad for our unions and bad for our state.
Thanks, Josh. We're going to keep moving around the state. Next, we will hear from Garrick Harwick, the Assistant Business Manager for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBW Local 890 in Janesville.
Hi, thank you, Carly, for the introduction. As you said, my name is Garrick Harwick, and I'm the Assistant Business Manager for IBW Local 890 in Janesville. Local 890 is made up of over 800 members across 5 counties in southern Wisconsin. Our local has benefited greatly in the increase in investment in renewables. We had over 220 electrical workers on a 350 megawatt solar project this past year. Currently, we have 3 IRA solar projects going on in Local 890, with more on the way. Because of these investments, we're seeing a measurable increase in the apprenticeship applications, as well as the increase in our classes size that we're able to handle. The investments and tax credits that are under threat right now are saving families money across the country and right here in Wisconsin. Our schools and communities save on long-term costs through utilizing technologies such as energy storage, solar, and geothermal, the future of which are at risk under this bill. Repealing the tax credits would strain our existing energy supply and raise the cost of expanding it, unequivocally increasing energy costs to both households and businesses. Without the tax incentives, energy costs are expected to increase in Wisconsin by 6% for residences and 9.4% for commercial and industrial sectors. This means increased energy bills across Wisconsin by a total of $420 million annually by 2030 and more than $1.2 billion by 2035. The repeal will slow the growth of our energy supply when demand is at an all-time high. This isn't the time to turn away from growing new energy sources. We need to be lifting up clean energy if we're going to meet the demand. Clean energy tax credits are putting IBEW members to work in nearly every state with billions of dollars worth of projects on the way. The IBEW is leading efforts to expand utility-scale solar, helping power Wisconsin's clean energy future. These investments don't just deliver clean energy, they create good-paying union jobs that strengthen our local communities. Over the past 3 years, we've had over 300 members working on various solar projects in southern Wisconsin. Utility-scale solar is not only a clean energy initiative, but also a job creator, with local Wisconsin contractors and Wisconsin union workers involved in the construction and sourcing of domestically manufactured products, bringing jobs and economic benefit to Wisconsin. Repealing these investments and tax credits would hurt deeply the people of Wisconsin. It would increase energy costs, kill jobs, and slow our transition to a clean energy future. This bill has got to be stopped. We've got to do what we can to keep renewable energy here in Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrick. Next up, we'll hear from Matt Gans, who is the president of the Western Wisconsin Building Trades Council, as well as the president of the Operative Plasters and Cement Masons International Association, OPC MIA Local 599.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, I'm Matt Gans, president of West Wisconsin Building Trades Council and president of Operative Plasters and Cement Masons International Association, Local 599 for the state of Wisconsin. Federal investments are on the chopping block in this budget and have already sparked major private investments in Western Wisconsin, such as Apple River Solar Project in Polk County, a 100 megawatt solar farm that has sustained 150 construction and service jobs. It's intended to generate electricity locally, create jobs, generate tax revenue, and support the local farmers. This funding is creating real jobs and boosting local economies. The Republicans are willing to throw it all away, putting our communities and livelihoods at risk. Notably, Dairyland Co-op has received over $500 million in federal funding to expand its clean energy portfolio, specifically solar, wind, and energy storage. By also pursuing elective pay to utilize solar and wind production tax credits, the co-op plans to leverage its funding for a total investment of $2.1 billion. Investments will lower energy costs for Wisconsin's rural communities, saving taxpayers money. In fact, Dairyland's electric rates are estimated to be 42% lower over the next 10 years than it would have been without the new era funding and the clean energy tax credits. These clean tax credits aren't just building new infrastructure. They're unlocking billions in private investment and fueling growth in our local communities. School districts like Black River Falls have been able to take advantage of direct pay to make upgrades to school buildings that will save tens of thousands of dollars on utility costs each year that can be reinvested into our kids and help keep our property taxes down. These investments aren't abstract numbers. They're job sites, they're training programs and paychecks for real people in Western Wisconsin. Thanks to these clean energy tax credits, we've seen more projects breaking ground, more apprentices getting hands-on experience, and more long-term work out of our members than we've had in years. We're finally seeing real momentum in our building our energy infrastructure in a way that's cleaner and better for working families. Repealing these tax credits would slam the brakes on that progress. Our message is simple. Don't take these opportunities away from our communities. We need to keep building the future, and that means protecting the investments that are delivering jobs, lowering energy costs, and strengthening Wisconsin's economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Last but certainly not least, we're going to hear from Emily Pritzko, the Executive Director of the Wisconsin Building Trades Council. Emily?
Thanks, Carly. Like Carly said, my name is Emily Pritzko. I'm the Executive Director of the Wisconsin Building Trades. We are an organization of all of the state's union construction workers, and we are the unifying voice for about 40,000 workers statewide. This legislation that all of our building trades leaders from across the state have already spoke to is, at the end of the day, just a job killing, price hiking disaster for Wisconsin families. You have heard each of these leaders talk about the direct impact this policy has already had in all corners of our state and what is at stake if it should be eliminated. When you eliminate those clean energy tax credits, you're not just hurting workers, though. You're also forcing every Wisconsin family to pay higher energy costs. And we are talking about $160 a year out of your pocket, while good paying union jobs also disappear. That's on top of additional provisions in this bill that everyone has heard about that kick millions of Americans off of their health care, explode the deficit, and create the largest upward transfer of wealth in American history. This bill pulls the rug out from under Wisconsin businesses that have made investments based on policy certainty. It sends exactly the wrong message to companies looking to invest in our state. And meanwhile, our competitors overseas are going to double down on clean energy while we retreat. These aren't just policy debates. This is about Wisconsin's future. Clean energy has become the cheapest and fastest way to power our grid, and this bill makes it more expensive. The building trades have always built Wisconsin's future: roads, bridges, schools, and energy infrastructure. Clean energy is infrastructure, and infrastructure is our union work. Wisconsin families and workers shouldn't have to pay the price for Washington's backwards energy policies. Our representatives need to stand up for Wisconsin families and Wisconsin workers and not take marching orders from Washington, D.C. insiders who don't care about folks back home. Thank you.
Well said, Emily. Great way to wrap up our comments. And with that, we will open the floor to questions from our audience. Looks like we have one. As Abby noted at the top, you can ask a question using the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. So the first question that we have is from Eric Gunn at the Wisconsin Examiner. I understand that a lot of these new energy projects are also inherently safer for workers. Can anyone speak to that point?
I guess what I can say about that is, most of these projects are being done by union contractors. When you're working with unions, there's an added layer of safety that's involved. Not only are the contractors, concerned about their safety as well, but there's union representatives. The unions individually all train their people. I think almost every one of our locals requires OSHA 30. We also have a lot of ongoing programs for our membership. So our members are also consciously looking out for their safety as well as the safety of their coworkers. And then we also have our standards through our collective bargaining agreements that all of our members and our stewards are aware of and help to enforce on the job site.
Okay, we'll leave just another minute for any other questions that might come in. Otherwise, I will give any of our panelists who are interested an opportunity for any last comments that you have about What's happening in the House today?
I guess I would just like to say that this bill it's not just policy, this is actual jobs that are going to be lost. It's actual money, dollars and cents that are going away, smaller apprenticeship classes. So it's not just one of those bills that, oh, there's stuff it may affect us. It's actually going to affect people's lives. It's going to affect families. It's going to cause utility bills to go up. It's just, it's not right. It's not right for America's workers, let alone Wisconsin's workers.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've pulled together all of you folks from across the state. Like, this is going to hit every single community in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I think to reiterate what Garrick said too, I think we've all seen it in all the building trades is the increase in apprenticeship sizes at the state level. We're at record number of apprentices in the state. So, I mean, the clean energy tax credits and everything that they're trying to get rid of is going to cost us jobs. Just comes straight down to that. And that's where the concern from the building trades comes in. This policy is really, you know, there is no reason to get rid of them. They've been doing good things for years now, for all the building trades in the states that take advantage of them. And then we're hoping that Congress does the right thing.
You know, speaking back to the jobs, our members, you know, they make good money, and so they pay in decent amount of taxes. And so this really is just kind of by creating these jobs, it's a form of stimulus. You know, we're creating more jobs, we're creating more taxpayers, we're creating higher, you know, tax paying bases. And at the end of the day, it really does help to continue to cultivate our communities, and it's good for our state.
We do have another question from Kylie with the Janesville Gazette. What can people do to make their voices heard?
I'll take this one. Keep calling your members in Congress. I was listening to the news before this about how this is one of the most unpopular pieces of legislation ever. The polling on this is abysmal. And as long as people continue to call and deliver that message, that is what we need to do right now. This is a wide sweeping bill that will impact many different aspects of all of our lives. And now is the time to weigh in, not once it's coming to your front door, impacting you, your community, and people you care about.
Anyone else want to weigh in on that? I would echo everything Emily said. If folks are interested in making phone calls or sending messages today, Blue Green Alliance has a tool on our website to help you do that. And yeah, our representatives work for us. They don't work for the handful of billionaires who stand to gain the most from this bill passing. This bill is going to kill blue collar jobs. It's going to hurt communities across our state and across the country to pay for billionaire tax cuts. That is the bottom line. And we still have power to make our voices heard and do what we can to make sure that doesn't happen. Any last closing remarks that anyone would like to add? If not, I want to thank all of our speakers for joining us today. You all are doing incredibly important work, and we appreciate you being here to talk about how important this is. And thank you to our members of the audience for joining us. We will make the recording available soon. I'm going to go ahead and say that on behalf today. I'm hearing from our comms team. Yeah, thank you all.